welcome back to All Hitches, NoVA's #1 football podcast. Coach Mason, happy NFL draft week, buddy.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, so weird. I miss, when I was a kid, when you were a kid, the draft was one day or 2 days, right?
2 days, 2 days, 2 days.
Saturday morning, you'd get up. Well, I guess here it'd be Saturday afternoon, but I grew up in the West Coast. Saturday morning, you get up and you just watch the draft all day, right? You'd watch the draft all day. This whole first round on Thursday, second round
know.
Friday. Oh, come on, man. Quit stretching out so long.
I know. It stinks. It does stretch out long, but it's a little bit of it's like it's being in the desert. I mean, we're football guys, right?
Yeah.
This is like a taste of just, you kind of wandering the desert, and there's like a little oasis, right? You see a little, and it's the NFL draft. And I'll have my Popeyes chicken because I always get Popeyes. I love Popeyes spicy, all dark meat, right?
Oh, okay.
Extra biscuits, little red beans and rice. I'm going to do it right. My oldest son will come after lacrosse practice, and we're going to watch the draft. Aiden, sorry, he won't be here this year. First time ever Aiden's not with me on draft night. I'll send him a picture of me eating the Popeyes. And I'm telling you, man, I look forward to it. Whether the Raiders have a pick, when the Raiders don't have a pick, doesn't matter. I love that. I'm going to watch the Kevin Costner movie Draft Day tonight because that's how much I love it.
That is the worst movie. It's got to be like my top 5 of worst movies I've ever seen.
No, what?
Awful. That movie is awful. Oh,
you got to get into the spirit of things.
Oh, there's got to be a better draft movie than that. Maybe not.
Oh, Mesa, come on, buddy.
Terrible. It is. Oh,
it's like watching a bad Christmas movie around the holidays. It's draft day. It's the movie you watch that before the NFL draft. I do it every year.
I mean, if I have to see Jennifer Garner go, Joe Montana was taking that third. Oh, shut up! Shut up!
You're a real jerk. What she can't know her football. You can't know her football. Mina Kimes knows football.
No. You watch like the 30-30 like Elway and Reno. You want to watch something that.
That's a good one too. That's a good one. Yeah, God, I don't want to watch that. You know why? You know why I don't want to watch it? Because Al Davis should have had Elway, and the NFL didn't let us have him. Yeah, that's messed up, man.
Actually, the Niners in that, right? Where they said Bill Walsh was like, I can't do it. I just can't trade Montana for Elway.
Yeah, could you imagine? I mean, I love Montana, but I mean, from a talent standpoint, I mean, Elway was he
was really talented, but is he able to run Bill Walsh's offense as well? At that point, right? Montana had been in the offense for like already 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a young Elway took a fucking Denver team on his back.
Yeah,
to the Super Bowl.
But he'd be trying to muscle balls in there. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Is he checking down to Wendell Tyler, or is he trying to freaking go over the top to Dwight Clark all the time? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not.
Yeah, I know. It's fair. I mean, that's fair.
A young quarterback, right? A young guy with a big arm. A lot of times, like, I'm not going to check that one down. I'm going to go ahead and let this thing fly.
You know who Elway is, in my opinion. I mean, I see it, the playing style, everything. It's Mahomes. It's Mahomes.
He's very similar.
Yeah, it's spot on. It's Mahomes.
Very similar. A lot of the quarterback draft this year is going to be interesting, right?
It really is, man. So Cam Ward is first. We already know that. I think Tennessee's already announced it almost. Do you think, and this will be the question of the day, right? Do you think Sanders is the next quarterback taken? What do you think?
I think he is. I think that's a smoke screen. But I've told you before, I'm not a huge Shedeur fan. I told you this 2 years ago. Remember?
Yeah.
We were had this conversation. I don't know if the guy's a franchise quarterback. What game can you be like, oh, they won that game because Shedeur Sanders was in that game? And let me all cards on the table here. The amount of draft picks I've been wrong about in my life, if I had a nickel for everyone I've been wrong about, I'd be a millionaire. So, I could be dead wrong, but something about him, it screams very average quarterback to me.
He's not great at, he's not great at anything. That's probably accurate. However, and I've been saying this for a while, and you know this, You know who he reminds me of? And now he was a second round pick, though.
Yeah.
He reminds me very much of Geno.
But he slipped. Remember, they thought because didn't he do the thing where he showed up in the second day because he walked through a crowd? Was that Geno Smith who showed up there in the second day?
I don't remember if that was Geno, but the famous one that slipped, they kept showing in the crowd was Brady Quinn.
Yeah, no,
That
but I mean, he showed up there on day 2, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong.
But Geno Smith reminds me a lot of Shador, and I like Geno. It took a while for Geno to become, top 10, top 12 quarterback. It took like 7, 8, 9 years.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So we'll probably talk about this later, but I'm hoping the Raiders take Genty. I want Genty at running back. It's a fun, flashy pick. So just know this: if the Raiders take Ashton Genty on draft night, if you hear something noise in the background, that's probably me screaming at a joy. That's what that is, or choking on a chicken bone, maybe.
Well, hopefully it'll choke on a chicken bone. Hopefully. If not, I don't think I can do the show solo. So it'll be, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Well, look, we're talking about fun. We got a fun guest today. We got something a little outside the box, right? We got Coach Aziz, former Hayfield coach Aziz. When you say former Hayfield coach, a lot of people don't think Aziz nowadays. They think somebody else. Yeah. And former Falls Church coach Aziz. I'd like to know. I should have asked him. Is Aziz top? Is he top 3 all time Falls Church winning head coach? Could be.
How long has Falls Church been around?
Long time. We're gonna find out.
Possibly, right? Possibly. I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably the soon to be the next cycle, the next coaching cycle, maybe the hottest candidate. What do you think? Could be.
I mean, obviously, he took a Falls Church program that as I was talking before he got there and struggled after he left. And he's done pretty well. He had 2 district championships at Hayfield. I mean, not a lot of those guys. I mean, multiple time district champs. I mean, not a lot of those coaches floating around, right?
Hasn't had a losing season in almost 10 years as a coach.
Yeah. So obviously
that's pretty impressive.
Pretty attractive candidate for sure.
Well, let's get right to it, buddy. No more waiting around. So here it is. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Coach Aziz. All right, welcome back. Joining us now, we have Coach Saeed Aziz joining us. Coach, we're very happy to have you here, man.
I'm excited to be a part of you guys' podcast. I feel like I've watched every episode. I've listened while I'm mowing the lawn. I've listened while I do my dishes. I'm excited to be a part of this thing. And thank you guys for what you guys do for Northern Regional football. I think it's awesome. Adults watch the show, listen to the show. Kids watch and listen to the show. I mean, you guys keep everybody up to date on what's going on. Not only football, but other sports too.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So I'm going to ask the question that everyone wants to hear you answer.
Wait, hang on. Checks in the mail. Yeah. Those nice words. We appreciate it, Coach.
So yeah, I am going to ask you the hot question right there. Everyone wants to hear.
Okay.
Shador Sanders, is he overrated, underrated? Where do you think he's going to go in the draft? Where do you see him?
Is he going to the Giants? I
don't know. Is he? I mean, what do you think? Do you think he's good as advertised? I mean, what do you think?
I think if his dad doesn't get in the way, I think he'll have a good career.
Okay.
I think he's pretty good. I don't know if he's getting his jersey retired good right now, because I think Cordell Stewart.
Yeah, that's wild. That he's gonna get stuff retired before Cordell Stewart. That blows my mind.
Yeah, and Cordell Stewart, I think, was also either NFL MVP or AFC Offense MVP or something.
Flash, he was probably Offensive Player of the Year, maybe, right?
Yeah, and for the Steelers, I think he was either Offensive Player of the Year in AFC or something. So, and he won 2 ball games at Colorado, and his number's not retired. So I don't know. I don't know.
And Darren Hagen, right? Darren Hagen, 2 national championships or 1 national championship.
Yeah. So Mesa said the question that everybody's asking. Well, I'm going to say this. That was pretty funny, actually. You know, Coach, we have you on right now, and it's kind of a special situation here because you're the first non, high school active head coach we have that's on the show this offseason. But I'm going to say this, and I told you this earlier off camera. You are the hot candidate of the next coaching cycle, my man, because
Well, I
with
appreciate
that
that.
resume, winning at Falls Church, the way you won at Falls Church, right? Winning the a couple conference titles like you did over at Hayfield. You are the early front runner for some pretty big gigs in the next cycle.
Well, I appreciate that. I hope you guys can have more assistance on here moving forward. I'm glad to be on, and I'm excited. Thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it.
So because I'm not a native to the Northern Virginia area, I know you're the head coach at Falls Church. But before that, where were you? Like where were you at before you became the head coach at Falls Church?
So before that, so do you guys know who Chad Lewis is? Chad Lewis is the current head coach at Edison.
At Edison.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for him, I would never have been a head coach to begin with. You know, I mean, I owe him a lot. Kind of like Dash. I graduated from Shenandoah with a business degree, and I graduated early, but my football career, in college, your eligibility ends. You have like a semester left of school. So I decided to coach the local high school, but at the same time, I was pursuing a business degree, and I got a job at AOL while coaching high school football at James Wood in Winchester, right? And I went for like 2 days, and I was like, you know what, wearing a suit is not for me. So I packed everything up. I came back home. I took some education classes at the old UVA campus in Falls Church, and I decided to coach at Lee Lewis now with Chad Lewis. And during the same time, he bought a house in Stafford County, and the Stafford job opened up, and he applied for the Stafford job, and he asked me to come with him. And during that time, we ended up coaching 2 NFL football players, Torrey Smith and Dexter McDougal, who both won Super Bowls with the Eagles. And I was with them for 5 years. In 2009, I got the itch to come back home, and I applied for the Falls Church job. I was 27 years old and young and energetic, and being from Northern Virginia, I love Northern Region football. I think I told Dash that in the 90s, me and my little brother used to go to Woodson to watch the region championships in the massive bleachers. I mean, now, I'm friends with Mark Matthew, who's an assistant football coach. Like I used to watch him play at Chantilly. I love Northern Region football. I think it's awesome. I think it's amazing. And once I was at Stafford for I think 4 or 5 years, I wanted to come back home, and I want to be a head coach. And then I applied for the Falls Church job, and it all kind of worked out. And and we were lucky because the Falls Church, the community was so supportive there, and we were very successful. And then from there, the Hayfield opportunity came forward, and I grew up not too far from Hayfield. My brother and I in the late 80s, my brother and I used to ride our bikes to the fence because there was no parkway, which is Who's Road. It was Who's Road and Telegraph Road. There was no parkway. We used to ride our bikes to Hayfield and watch the games from the fence. So when Hayfield job opened, why would anyone not want to go coach the school where they used to watch as a kid? It's kind of like something you see in the movies.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's good stuff. Now let me ask you. You kind of you came up Falls Church. So don't be shy now, because I know the answer to some of these questions, but I'm going to have you say it. Tell us about the success you had at Falls Church, because it's worth bragging about, man. I'm going to brag for you, but it's worth bragging about.
I appreciate it. So with Falls Church, I was 27 years old, so young. I was energetic. I still have some of that energy. I wasn't married. My girlfriend and fiance at the time, she was very supportive. But the administration there, the 3 principals we had, Kathy Benner, Mike Yo, Dr. Nowak was still there. They were very supportive. And we had a DSA, Jeannie Kelly, who's retired now. She was very supportive. Bobby Krause, who took over from her, is very, very supportive. The community was very supportive. And we had a good coaching staff that were all teachers in the building. And, and having 6 or 7, males in the building, with your, 60, 70 kids every single day, the consistency and having the same staff, no turnover, a lot of that kind of led to the success we had at Falls Church, and those kids that they overachieved, we set the bar high for them. And, sometimes you don't reach the bar, but a couple of notches below that bar, it's not that bad either. And our whole goal was, and still is to this day, we want our kids to be kids, people that you can count on when they get older. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of has helped us become successful. We want to build people to be accountable. And that's really helped us at Falls Church, because we gave a lot of those kids the structure they needed.
Yeah, I remember you did a lot of clinics over there too. I remember when I was coaching, we first met, and at the time you were probably, at those clinics, you're shaking hands with a lot of, coaches that are there. But you did a bunch of youth clinics over there, like in the kind of 2005, 2006, 2007, around that time. At Braddock Road would go over there, and some of the other clubs would go over there, and I remember you going over some lineman stuff, and you did some good stuff for the community over there. What was your total win-loss record over at Falls Church over the 10? How many years was it?
We were there from 2009 to 2001, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the win-loss record was, but I know we hadn't had a losing season since 2013. Between 2013 and 2021, I don't think we had a losing season.
Wow.
It's funny you bring up the youth clinics. I'm SYC and BRYC football alumni.
Yeah.
So when I used to see the weigh-ins, the SYC weigh-ins, I'll get all pumped up, because I remember when I used to get weighed in. So those youth clinics really helped. It was more for our kids than anything, because it's not like we're growing up. I think a lot of people don't play, a big percentage of people don't play high school football till they get to 9th grade. So, building that football IQ, I think is huge. And that's why we did a lot of those youth camps, not only to help the coaches, but to help our kids. Because our kids was always the kids who used to put them in stances, and they were there, the volunteers, right, to help out. So those youth camps were a lot of fun. I wish they'd bring them back.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So you did really well at Falls Church. You have a program that was struggling and turned them into essentially winners. So what are some key things that a coach could do in that situation, right? Where they go in there. What are some pillars that you don't have to give away everything, but what are some things that you would recommend to a coach who's coming?
The secret sauce, Coach Aziz's secret sauce.
So there is no secret sauce. I think you have to have time, and you need a supportive staff. You need to find 4 or 5 coaches that are willing to put that time in with you, and then get the kids to believe. I always felt that if you get the kids to believe in what you're doing, they're gonna run through a brick wall for you. I always told the Falls Church kids that you don't have to worry about anything. Just show up. We'll pay for the spirit wares. We'll pay for the food, because I always wanted our kids, even at Hayfield, I wanted our kids to feel like kings. I don't want to worry about their pregame meals. I don't have to worry about their, because kids like to look pretty with the towels and all that kind of stuff, and the socks and all that. I always tell kids, we'll take care of all that stuff. All you gotta do is show up. And a lot of times when you tell the kids that and follow through with the things you say, they really buy into what you're doing with the off-season stuff, with the 7-on-7 stuff, never canceling anything. I always tell the kids, unless the county cancels school or obstacle activities, we will always have weight room. And I think that consistency, whether they show up or not show up, they'll know that you'll always be there. And and over time, they buy into that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you mentioned earlier that kind of helped turn things around at Falls Church. What you said, I think 5 or 6 coaches in the building. Man, I think Coach Doc was a couple of weeks ago was saying that he's got. I mean, he's got an army over there. Doc has like 7 in the building or whatever he said. But like, that's a big part of it. I mean, I wonder how. I mean, I know he's pulling it off at Braddock, but that's a rare thing nowadays. That's got to be a tough thing nowadays to get more than like 3 or 4, right?
If you get 3 or 4 nowadays, because I think it's hard to find young people that are teachers and coaches now, because there's so much things to do, right? And I think if you get 3 or 4 guys in the building, or girls in the building that want to be coaches for any sport, I think that's a plus, because they're invested in the school's success. And I think that's huge. The fact that Doc has 7, that's amazing.
I forgot what the number was, but it was a crazy high number, whatever he said.
Yeah, I'm helping out Centerville right now. I'm coaching the O-line, and he has about 5 or 6 guys in the building there, and it's huge, because if he's with a college coach, another coach could be doing inventory or flipping laundry, or it just having the kids in the class, and having a relationship with a teacher. It's having coaches in the building. It's a huge asset.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence though, right? That we're naming, you're rattling off Centerville, Braddock, Falls Church when you were winning over there. Like, these are programs that had a bunch of coaches in the building, right? It's not a coincidence.
It just whenever you have guys who are people who are role models in the building and they're with the kids all the time, that's huge.
Yeah. Well, I think what you said about that supportive administration, that's the other thing, right? Having an admin that recognizes, the more coaches you have around the kids, the better off your program is going to be. Not just that though, but it still is a program, right? I mean, if you have teachers in a classroom who have, 150 kids, they can talk to kids about playing your sport, all day. They recognize kids, they see them around, as opposed to the guy who rolls in at 310. And I'm not denigrating walk-on coaches, right? Any coach who comes on is valuable, but he doesn't see the rest of the student body, right? He just sees the kids who are coming out of football.
No, definitely. I've always felt that teachers make the best coaches, because teachers are able to break down concepts. Yeah. And they can scaffold material, they can set objectives, and that's stuff that we work on every single day. We're gonna.
Look at that. You're throwing words like scaffolding out there. Look at you.
Yeah, like
you're under evaluation right now, sir. Those are bonus points right now.
So we do have kids that are visual learners. So popping that video when they're in a huddle, and is how they learn. So I think teachers make the best coaches, and I think coaches around the country will tell you that. Now I have a lot of respect for people who aren't teachers, who go out of their way to coach, because that's difficult too. Working in the government sector, and leaving now you gotta leave work early to go coach, and then go into work at 4:30 to make up hours so you can be at practice on time. That's hard too. I have a lot of respect for people who aren't in the building and come in and coach also. I mean, that's hard.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially now in the fact you work in government and coaching, you probably get yelled at for leaving.
I mean, you probably leaving your house at 5:30 in the morning. You're not getting home by 9 p.m. at night, 8 o'clock, 9 p.m. at night during the season.
You got Doge guys tackling you as you.
Yeah.
So the one, I know Dash was talking about your youth camps. The one thing that you put together that was probably recognized as the best 7-on-7 tournament in the area where you're 7-on-7s. How do you put a good how do you put a good 7-on-7 together? Like I'd imagine it's got to be pretty daunting. Like how did you do it? How do you put those things, especially with the amount of teams?
Yeah. He's right. You did put on a good 7. We always enjoyed Coach Aziz's 7-on-7s, buddy.
Well, I appreciate it. You guys are making me blush. So with our 7-on-7s, we always did to not only to raise money, but when we first started at Falls Church, a lot of people didn't know what Falls Church High School was. They'd leave Fairfax and drive past Falls Church and go straight to Arlington County. So we want to do something for the school to kind of showcase the school. At the same time, we did the 7-on-7s. We go to 7-on-7s, and I always took notes on what we could do differently. You know what I mean? And I always want to do it on 7-on-7, not only to have it in a way where everybody enjoyed it. But, I just enjoyed seeing all the coaches, you know what I mean? Driving around on the Gator and just saying hello to all the coaches and giving the kids an experience that, they would enjoy, and teams got better. And most importantly, everybody wanted to come back. We did that 7-on-7. We did it at 2 different schools. We didn't do it during the COVID season. We did it for 13 years, I think. And hopefully we can bring it back.
What was the last one you did at Falls Church? We remember what year that was?
2020, and we did it every year at Hayfield that we were there. And
That's right.
Falls Church, we did 24 schools, and I think at Hayfield we did 30.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was great, and like I said, the kids enjoyed it. I think at the end there, I think we had a DJ there. I mean, and our kids enjoyed it. It showcased Falls Church and Hayfield, and everybody from parents to coaches, everybody enjoyed it. You played your 5 games, and the people who went 5-0 or 4-1 played for like an 8-seed team playoffs. Then there was a champion. For me, I just bought 6 out of plaque. It's not, my wife would go to Michael's and make flags, yellow flags for everybody. And all our coaches we had in a clinic for our coaches, just showing our coaches how to officiate 7-on-7 games. Because a lot of times people are like, what's up with your officials? And I want to make sure that wasn't an issue and everybody enjoyed the 7-on-7. It'll be back, hopefully.
Yeah, I think everyone's, people have kind of popped up with them, but like you said, not to those numbers, not to all the other ones that are local right now don't have quite, that flair. You don't have the DJ, we don't have the numbers, we don't have any of that stuff.
It got to the point where the Ferris County Police Department contacted me and was like, "Do you want us to bring a traffic sign that goes parking here?" And I was like, "Well, let me ask my administration." That's a question for them. And I mean, it got to that point, which I'm thankful. Again, it's like the coaching staff, just being consistent every single year and just having it every single year, and people buy into it, and I'm glad everybody enjoyed it, and I loved it. I loved doing it.
The parking there can be kind of a nightmare sometimes. I know because Falls Church used to have the weigh-ins. Remember back in the day, they had the youth weigh-ins.
Yeah.
Dude, the parking was a nightmare.
They're under construction now. They only have 10 parking spots in the whole school now.
Wow, that's rough. You got to park at Celebrity Deli. You had to park in that Celebrity Deli. You just walk down. You get a sandwich. You get the Dash and Dan sandwich. You just walk back to the school.
I tell you, we lived in Dumfries when I was the head coach of the Falls Church, and my wife will tell you, we met at Celebrity Deli a lot to eat lunch in between practice, before games. Just her and I. I paid $30 for my steak and cheese or whatever it is. Celebrity Deli is a special place in my heart because we used to meet there all the time, my wife and I. Because we lived so far from Falls. Because at Falls Church, once I got there, I never left. Because I lived so far away. But now I live in Burke, so it kind of works out.
You went to the right place. You're going to the right spot. Celebrity Deli is going to become the Falls Church. It's going to be the Jaguars, place to be before games this coming year. I'm putting that flag down.
And most of my assistants from Falls Church or Hayfield, they're all back at Falls Church now on the staff now. So they're doing good things over there. Coach Coogan, he's a hard worker, and he's gonna do some special things over there. They're gonna be pretty good. You gotta watch out for them.
Yeah, I like Coach Coogan, and I know Mason's a big fan.
Yeah, I like what they're doing over there. Were you a big 7-on-7 guy with your team outside of your the tournament that you ran? I mean, did you go to a lot of them? I mean, what was your philosophy as far as going to? We're 7-on-7 team now, but.
So I'm a guy. It just depends on the school you're at. I fully believe that high school football is a part of the high school experience. But it shouldn't limit kids from wanting to be a part of clubs or put teams or playing other sports. I never want to put the kids in positions to have to choose. So we always started all our football stuff once spring sports ended. So we always dedicated the month of June to 7-on-7. Because I really wanted our kids to. I always felt that the more sports kids are involved in their clubs, the more invested they are in the school's success. So, like come March or April, like you wouldn't see us out there with snow on the ground doing 7-on-7. We just kind of dedicated the 4 Saturdays in June. And if you look hard enough, you'll find a school hosting a 7-on-7, either here or PG County or in DC or in Richmond somewhere. So a lot of the big schools like Maryland, UVA, they hold all their 7-on-7s in June. So we always dedicate the 4 Saturdays in June to 7-on-7. One out, the one we hosted, then the 3 others, the other places. And this is depending on the team. I mean, every school is different. So we always analyze our personnel. And if we need 7-on-7, then we, got on it. If not, then we just, did our green days and moved on from there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the schedule now in terms of like 1-day tournament 7-on-7s, right?
Yeah.
You got Osborne Park, Garfield, you got TJ with one, and then you got Oakton, and 2 of those are in June. 1 in May, 1 in April. There's a lot of room in May for a good old fashioned Coach Aziz 7-on-7 down the road. I think
Garfield does one too.
Garfield.
Yeah.
So Osborne, Garfield, TJ, Oakton.
Yeah. So we always did ours the Saturday before or after SATs in June. That's how I always timed it, and I always send out invites in January because I want to make sure that's when most coaches, because kind of most coaches think that's when most coaches start doing their calendars, and we filled up pretty quick.
You had it down to a science, man. This guy, you had it down.
That's why
there was 30 teams there.
That's about the only thing we had down to the science was 7-on-7.
Let me ask you this, kind of shifting gears a little bit.
Sure.
Right now I'm looking at my Twitter timeline, and I'm curious your thoughts as a former head coach, as an assistant coach, a NoVA guy, NoVA lifer, guy who played at Shenandoah. Whether it's high school, I'm seeing kids now, 4 schools in 4 years going to be seniors. I'm seeing juniors, 3 schools in 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing college kids, same thing. I saw one kid, 3 schools in 2 years. I mean, it's an epidemic. It's happening everywhere. What do you think? What are your thoughts on some of that?
So I always think is the college trickle down effect. A lot of things happen in colleges trickles down to high school. It's all about what. For me, it's a family decision on what I'm big on the high school experience. I believe that your high school football program should benefit the kids in your community, and the kids that play touch football behind the bleachers on Friday nights. But some families don't have that philosophy. If you're not into the high school experience or be a multi-sport athlete, and you want to jump around, and if families want to move, then that's on them. That's the decision they made. If you want to, there are some alternatives out there now, right? Like St. James and the Loudon Academy. I think that's new, right?
Yeah.
If you feel that alternative is best for you, and that's what you want out of your high school experience, then that's the decision you made as a family, and nobody should stop you from doing that. That's the best. That's what you feel is best for you, But for me personally, I'm really big into the high school experience and getting the most out of it, But every situation is different. Every family is different. To me, that's a family decision, and that's what they feel is best for them. Then, more power to them.
I think one of the big problems though is because we don't have any way to track this. I'm curious how many kids who transfer to multiple schools end up with scholarships. There's no way to find out that number, right? I mean, they're just we don't have the analytics to do that. But how many of those kids actually end up with scholarships? I mean, everyone wants to jump out to the place that they think is going to be best, and a lot of the college coaches I hear and talk nowadays will say, I'm talking the high school experience. I thought, and I started researching some of the college stuff, which is mind blowing. Most of the college coaches say, if you're out there, we'll find you. I mean, if you have film and you dominate a high school football game, will find you. Like it's not the old school where, we can only see it if you send us in some kind of, the VHS tape, we have to watch it. That's just not the case anymore. And oddly enough, I was talking with Dash about this. I think we'll talk more about this later. But like, I was trying to find out the percentage of kids who hit the portal who end up with a college degree. The NCAA does not print that number. They right now do not tell that number. The only number I did found was if you transfer colleges, if random kid transfers colleges, only 68% of those kids graduate. And those aren't athletes. Those are just the kid who transfers from one college to another. Only 68% of those kids graduate. Can you imagine what that number is of kids who leave their colleges who end up with a college degree? I wish there was a way to track the high school number, so that way you could present to parents like, look, moving around, because I am fairly certain that number is very low. The kids who transfer around school to school, go to multiple schools, the amount of the kids who end up with scholarships is probably very minuscule, as opposed to the kid who just stays at a school. So yeah, I think unfortunately, we're doing a disservice, and the parents who, and I feel like a lot of the kids who do that stuff are from parents who did not play college athletics, who actually don't know exactly what's going on. They're listening to everybody else is telling them. And if you're just trying to do the best thing for your child and you don't know, and the person who seems to have some expertise, I could get on a soapbox and talk about this for the next hour, but
my word would be that if you go from a private school into a portal and then go to a public school, how many credits are you losing? Because not all your credits transfer, because some of those private schools they're private for a reason, and some of those humanities credits, won't necessarily transfer to a public university. That'd be my worry. I just spend an entire semester in their class and I can't even use it for anything. I lose the credits. I'd be worried about that.
Yeah, because you're using your head and thinking with common sense. I look at some of these, and I've been talking to my son about it. Actually, we've been talking a lot about this. And I guess I could maybe imagine someone doing it once. Maybe things didn't work out. Someone could be miserable at their school, right? For a variety of reasons. Maybe it's not even football related. Maybe it just didn't work out. Whatever, right? But for some of these people to be doing it 2 and 3 times, again, you're not playing at 2 and 3 times at some of these schools. And it's just, that's when as a parent, you pull them in, you got to say, look, we got to talk, and to your point, Macy, yeah, someone's getting bad advice there, whether it's the parent, whether it's the student athlete, someone is not, being honest, right? Being honest with the kid and the coach. Somebody somewhere along the way is lying to somebody.
That's why it's important as a high school football coach. You need to educate the parents on how the scholarship process works, and how the clearinghouse works. A lot of parents don't understand that if you're a D3 athlete, that's why you got to be honest to your athletes, right? If you don't need the clearinghouse. D3 schools don't need the clearinghouse. That's why I see a lot of kids that commit to D3 schools, but didn't have an NCAA ID in their Twitter profile, and it's like, you don't need that, and as a coach, you need to tell the parents what the difference between D2 and D3. How D2, is hard. D2 is really, really hard, and how D3, D3 has got a huge network. Like Aiden goes to Washington Jefferson, correct?
Right.
And Washington Jefferson, you have a huge network. Once he graduates, it's such a high academic school and a prestigious degree. He's gonna find work or career right away because there's W&J alumni, especially in the Pennsylvania,
right,
New York area. There's such a network of people with connections to W&J and like WNL and Bridgewater. So you got to break down, pros and cons between D3 and D2, and educate parents on how scholarship process works. And I think that's a high school coach's job, to educate parents on how that stuff works.
The other thing that I think people are going to find out, and we tried our best, right? We had the coaches on in the beginning of the off season. We had coaches from Hampden, Sydney, and CNU, and they said it. they said it honest, and they said that it's at Division III level, two good programs, right? CNU is a really good program. Hannah and Sydney, I think he's doing a good job, and they're going to get over that hump with Coach LaVara. I think, and they said it. They said that it's not the old days anymore. Like, they're getting some legit players at the Division III level nowadays, and I don't think some of the kids know that. I think there's a lot of kids at the high school level that don't know that. And they think, oh, I'm better than that. And when some of those kids who were saying I'm better than that couldn't even play at some of those schools.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. When I was at Shenandoah, we played Bridgewater. They were nationally ranked. They had a running back. His name was Devon Cruz. He was at WVU, broke his arm or got his whatever, and he just wanted to play football because he loved football. And he left WVU and went to Bridgewater. I think that's how it went. And he was a track guy, and they were really, really good. So, I never want people to to downplay D3 football, because there's some, they might not be 6'5", but they 6'5", 320, but D3 football players can still bench the same as that 6'5" kid at D1 school. They just don't have the physical attributes a lot of D1 players do. But they're still strong. They still work hard. They love the game. In D3 football, especially in ODAC and in Virginia and Pennsylvania, there's some good football.
Yeah, I think the days of all these kids getting walk-ons and all that, those days are. And again, I don't think the kids know that yet. They're finding this stuff out little by little as we go. And you're not going to get all these walk-on opportunities anymore. Do you really want to do it? Go play Division II football. Earn it, play your butt off for a year or two, transfer out, or go Division III. Play your butt off, earn a starting spot, transfer to Division II, however you want to do it. But I think kids are going to find that out if they don't know that already. And their coaches need to be telling them that.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%.
Coach, I am very happy you came on today. I think, like I said, we got the early scoop from the guy who heads the next cycle of coaches. I think wherever you end up, and like you said, I know you got more time to be a cab driver for the family and going to basketball practices and all that kind of stuff, and so there is a plus to not being a head coach, obviously, with more family time and that kind of stuff. So if you choose to do that and just be an assistant down the road, you're going to be a great addition to any staff, whether it be Centerville or wherever else. Or if you decide to end up being a head coach again, which I think if you want to, you will in the next cycle, I think there will be a program that's very lucky to have you, buddy.
Thank you so much. It's funny you mentioned Centerville. I'm there with Coach Shields, and he has an awesome staff. He's got the Old Lake Braddock coach on staff, Jim Poitras. He's got some young coaches, Josh Culver, Devin Kaplan. He's got just a crew of coaches there that work hard. I think Centerville is going to get back to Centerville football season. You know what I mean? And I'm excited to be a part of that, and sit in the back seat while Coach Shields drives that ship.
Now you had mentioned it before, D-line or O-line, or where you coaching?
So last year I was helping out with a D-line. I think this year I'm going to the offense side of the ball.
Okay.
As an assistant, I always wanted to be the kind of assistant I'd want. So I always told Coach, man, whatever you need me to do, I'll do. If you want me to be in charge of girdles, I'll be in charge of girdles. You want me to be in charge of laundry, I'll do laundry. You want to be the headset coordinator, I'll be the headset coordinator. Because as a head coach, that's what I would want as an assistant. Someone that's willing to do the stuff that nobody sees. And that's why I tell Coach Shields, whatever you need, I'm there for you, buddy.
That's it. That's the kind of assistant coach that more coaches need. Well, we thank you, buddy, for joining us today, and we're going to see you soon. We'll probably see you at some of these. You're going to be hanging around some of these 7-on-7s. We're going to be going to Osborne Park on Saturday. Mason's already excited. Is Roy Rogers out that way?
I don't know.
Is there?
I don't know. There used to be one in Manassas.
They're building a Sonic. They built a Sonic there.
You know what they put? They did put a Sonic there. You know what we're going to hit up, actually, Have you ever had cookout, Mesa?
I've not had cookout.
You gotta
Oh,
go. You gotta check cookout.
Tell him he's missing out.
There's one in Manassas. The closest one here is in Manassas.
Yes, we're hitting up Cookout, buddy. Cookout might be the only rival to Roy Rogers that there is around here.
All right.
Now you got me excited. Now I'm ready to forget about the coaching 7-on-7. I just want to go eat at Cookout.
Getting fired up.
Getting fired up for some unhealthy food, buddy.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right, let's say it right now. We're about to exit. Coach, we know Cam Ward is going to be the first. They already said Cam Ward is the first quarterback taken. I'm hearing all types of stuff on other quarterbacks. Who's the second quarterback taken in the draft? We'll revisit this after the draft.
I mean, come on, it's got to be Shador.
It's gonna be Shador. I agree.
All right, then I'll be the odd man out. I'm going to go Dart, Jackson Dart. I think from Ole Miss. I think he's the next. I'm telling you, they like him. You know, played under Kiffin over there at Ole Miss. I think Dart's going to be the guy.
I mean, Dart's good, but I still think it's gonna be Shador.
All right, we're gonna revisit this one.
I forgot how much you love Lane Kiffin.
You know, I liked Lane Kiffin until Al Davis had to fire him in front of everybody.
I just want the Commanders to have a good draft pick. That's my squad.
You got your quarterback, buddy. You got yours.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Coach, we're gonna see you soon, man. Maybe we'll see you at Cookout.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate this, and I think we should do it more often. So thanks again, and you guys have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you too, Coach. See you soon, buddy.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, welcome back, and another home run, Coach. I was impressed by Coach Aziz.
Yeah, it was a really good conversation. A lot of really good insight from him about just a lot of things, head coaching stuff in general. I mean, just kind of a big smorgasbord of football topics. I thought that he came across pretty well, and I enjoyed the conversation with him. Yeah,
I mean, some people might walk away saying, "Oh, well, you didn't talk about the Hayfield." That's not what we're going to do. We're not going to get into that stuff, right? We want to talk about him and as a coaching candidate, right?
Yeah.
And what he can bring to whatever program he goes to down the road, what he's done in the past. And I thought you brought up a good point, man, with those 7-on-7s. The man does a 7-on-7 like nobody else.
Oh no, yeah, his 7-on-7 is fantastic for sure. Yeah, no,
I liked I always liked his 7-on-7s. I thought he did a great job. I think that was a good observation by you, Coach, because we always had a good time there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And we'll see as far as both you guys picking Shador as the number 2 quarterback. I like my Dart pick. I think Dart's going to be. I should put money on it right now. I should go to the MGM in Fairfax and put $5 on Dart because that's paying out.
Okay. I forget. Yeah.
You're sticking with Sanders as the second quarterback.
Yeah. I think the other stuff is just smoke screen. If he doesn't go second,
Milroe. People are talking about Milroe.
Yeah, come on, man. I don't see him dropping below those two guys. All of a sudden, I think it's all. Yeah, it's all close.
These guys come out of nowhere on draft day. Anthony Richardson hardly played a freaking season at Florida.
Yeah, but who did he go ahead of? I don't think he went ahead of anybody that. Yeah, I mean, just a few weeks ago, they were talking about Shador being the number 1 overall pick. He's going to be the second quarterback taken.
Let me just say this. I am very happy that the Raiders brought in Geno Smith in the offseason, and we don't have to worry about some of this stuff. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, I will say this as we get ready to exit here, I am looking forward to a little good eats on Saturday.
Oh, that's right. I thought you were talking about your Popeyes again. No, yeah.
Well, I am excited about the Popeyes. That's not Saturday. That's Friday. That's Thursday night.
And if you're at Osborne Park, come by, say hello.
Yeah, well, definitely. We're going to be there, kind of watching things, maybe doing some interviews. We want to get down to nitty gritty. We want to get an early preseason ranking, and it starts now. When we do this, our preseason power rankings in July and August.
Yeah.
We're starting the assessments on this because it means everything. 7-on-7 doesn't mean everything. It does mean something, buddy. Yeah, people are going to say 7-on-7 means nothing. Put on the pads. I know all that nonsense. But how your DBs look, huh? How do your receivers look? How's your quarterback look? Doesn't some of that matter?
Sure, it matters. Sure, it matters. God. All right.
I'm excited. I'm ready to go right now. I'm ready, buddy.
I
Let's
am
do
too.
it.
I am too.
It's gonna be fun. We'll get some cookout, and they got great milkshakes at cookout. You're gonna love the milkshakes.
All right. I hear it brings all the boys to the yard.
I feel like George Zimmer. You're gonna love the milkshakes. I guarantee it.
Guarantee it.
All right. Well, buddy, it's been fun, and I'll see you again on Saturday at Osborne Park.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
All right, guys. Well, from Dash and Dan to all Hitches, we'll see you next time.
See ya.